Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to showcase the Sweetest Time bundle, the Sweetest Time stamp set, and the Sweetest Borders dies. Now you can find this in the mini catalog that was August 4th to January 4th, affectionately called the Holiday Catalog. So I want to show you some sweet things that you can do with this bundle. Now, of course, this card's pretty self-explanatory. I just used the 3 candles, the trio of candles. I stamped them in real red. Then I used some crushed curry because I really like the deepness of the yellow and crushed curry. And then I just stamped some of the holly leaves, cut them out with the dies that are in there. Also, they have dies that'll leave an impression as well. And then stamped my holly berries in some real red. And then just layered them across the front. Used some stitched rectangles and then the ornate layers die. And on the inside, I loved this bright saying that's in here, the love and light to you. And your holly there with some red and green and yellow to go on the outside of the card. Now that, like I said, is something self-explanatory that you can figure out yourself. But I wanted to show you how to make 2 more cards using these really fantastic dies in here. Now the first one we're going to make is going to use this holly, it's kind of like a spray, I would say. It's kind of it's meant to go in one way to put down along the bottom of your candles, but I wanted to do something a little different with it. So this is what I came up with here. I'm using the Just Jade, the new in color, and the Shaded Spruce. They are literally just made for each other. So we're going to take a look here at all the different elements of this card. I have a little kit here, and I just want to show it off to you. All right, so let me get all my little pieces out here. So I started out with the Just Jade card base, and that was 11 inches by 4 1/4, and then I scored it at 5 1/2 so that I would have a portrait size card there. And on the inside of my card, I just stamped some holly berries and some holly leaves, and I did actually leave them that the berries were also in the Just Jade. Of course, it was really hard for me not to put the red in there, but I just want to kind of leave this as a monochromatic card here. So in the inside, I just put a Whisper White, and keeping with a 1/8 inch border around it, that would be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And as you can see, I have, now here, you can see how close that Shaded Spruce and Just Jade are. And I'm kind of glad that let me see if you can do this. On this card, I used the same, but here, when I stamped it, it hadn't quite dried yet, and they both look so much alike. But once they dried, you could definitely see the distinction between the 2 colors there. So I think on my subsequent cards, I may put that Shaded Spruce there. So there we go. So why don't we just go ahead and put our Stampin' seal on here, and then we'll have the inside of the card done. My friend Steph and I were saying 1 minute we're experts at this, and then the next minute we're fumbling around with our Stampin' seal. Let me just get this all ready to go. I always aim to the bottom and the left and the right when I'm doing my card. That way if I'm off a little on any parameter, it's perfect there. Okay, so the inside of the card is done. Now to do this die here, I started out with a 5 1/2 inch by 2 1/2. That's what, and believe me, I played around. I had a few that I had the die to this edge and it was a 2 1/4. So I found that 2 1/2 was the perfect measurement for my liking on this card. And so as you can see, this is what is cut out from that 2 1/2 inch piece. Now, when you're using that die, make sure, like if you want to make this card and have the border along the left side, you're going to want to put these open dies over towards the left. So these open parts of the holly should be on the left side of your piece of 2 1/2 inch, okay? And leave yourself more room on the left side than on the right side. So you can take these points almost over to that edge there, making sure you have these 2 points of the die down towards the top and the bottom. And then, like I said, this is going to be the part that cuts out here. And once again, I did it the opposite way, and then I didn't have as much of a border on this side. So as you can see, that's going to cut out these edges. Now, once this die comes out, you will have a ton of pieces that come out of it. And I have saved all of these little pieces of leaves, and I'm going to end up losing them all over my desk. But you're going to cut that out. You're going to end up with this, and it is a little, it's one of those things that's a little tedious, like getting every piece out, but it is totally worth it. So whenever I have a piece, I just kind of wiggle it and do like kind of just gently wiggle mine, and the pieces come out. But you can see all these pieces that are going to come out of that die. But like I said, you get all these other pieces to do that. So the biggest tip I can give you with this one is that you want more of a border on this side. So put your open holly berries along there. Okay, so then we're going to just put this on the front of our card. I'm going to go with my Tombow because I found that that was the easiest way. When I was putting that other card together, I just put a little bit of glue on the edge there, because I found when I was using my tape runner, it's a little too delicate, and I ripped one of them. It just wasn't. And then you can put like a little dab any place you see kind of a wider area. And then I can always go back and put a little bit later. So there is our border. I'll just get this little, I have a little frayed edge there. Okay, so then we're just going to put that on. I start down in the corner, and the glue is going to give you a little wiggle room. So just make sure you have none of the shaded spruce on this side. Kind of line it up flush with that side. And there you go. Now my little trick for, and I'm going to show you with a piece of magenta, Marvelous Magenta, is I put a little bit of glue on a strip. And then I can come back under my leaves and see how I'm just putting a little bit of glue on there. It's kind of like a little paintbrush. It's only getting any place that I think I need a little bit of glue on there, but it was hard to do on the other side, and then that just adheres down. So that's my little trick there when I'm putting together something like that. So look how awesome that looks, especially with the contrast in the colors there. So what I did next is I used a beautiful sentiment. This is one of my favorite sets, the Peaceful Boughs. It has dies that cut out your pine cones and a big pine spray branch, but I love this sentiment here. It's just like the perfect size, and I put it on the front of this card so that it has a nice big sentiment with a really detailed die cut there. But the nice thing about this is I used a new die set, and that new die set is the Hippo and Friends dies. That comes bundled with the Hippo Happiness, and it is a great die set. Robin Cardon was really smart when she designed this for her $1 million stamp set, that it had all these layering dies in it, and these little open spots here, like the slit and this little oval here and this oval here, these can be turned into tags. So it was really versatile, and I say, even if you are, I don't even want to say aren't into the little cute little critters in it, because they are adorable, and you, even if you don't think you need like a little sheep and a little unicorn and a little hippo, that's just an added bonus with this bundle, because the dies themselves are just awesome, a definite must-have, but you actually get to have these cute little critters in there too. So I took this die here, and it was, and notice on these dies here, they layer, but they're all different dies. So they all have a different shape to them. So notice that, like this one kind of has the same shape, but this one here has a little bit different of a shape. So it's kind of neat the way the design detail on them. Like you can see here, these are pretty much the same, but just down layered. But look how pretty this extra one in there, but it's actually not the same outline as these other two. So anyhow, I used that die, I stamped my sentiment in Just Jade to go with the card base, and then I just die cut it with that die. And then that is just what we are going to do. Where is our little envelope we had? Okay, where did I put my, oh, there it is. I set it down over here. So I have my sentiment there, and I'm just going to put some dimensionals on. I'm going to kind of put my dimensionals towards the inside because I am going to do some tucking in of things. So you're going to have your sentiment here. Now I want to show you one other thing I did here. The first card I did, I actually stamped my leaves using the hollyberry stamp, the holly leaves. So you've got two different sizes of holly stamps, and I stamped them, and I thought, oh, that's cool, you know, it shows us how we can stamp with those. And I did use Just Jade, so I did tone on tone, but if I did it again that way, I think I would use the Shaded Spruce. However, after I made this one, I thought, oh wait, I have all these little scraps left over from that die cut. So here are a few that I just pulled out that I liked for this card. So let's see here. And one other little piece, static electricity working at its best. So what I did is I'm going to go ahead and pop my sentiment onto the front of the card. And this is one that's nice because you can put it, there's no wrong way to put it. You could put it in the middle, you could put it down at the bottom, you could put it at the top. Sometimes when I'm aiming for the middle and I'm afraid I'm not really going to get the middle, I'll just put it down towards the bottom. So there we go. So I've got that sentiment on there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put some of these leaf dies on here. Now see here, I could put this here, or I can put it down here. And I think I'm going to put it down on the bottom like I did on the other one. And then just put a little tombow on these bigger portions of my leaves. And if you feel, I'm not super proficient with my fine tip glue. I have some girls that swear by it, but sometimes I get a little messy with that. But if I get a little too much glue, I just come and scrape it off with a scrap on my desk. And then I just tuck in this die cut, put it over to the edge. So that die cut came right out of, I do believe, here. Or no, it comes out of this piece here. So that's a beautiful piece to put over there. And then I just put one of these little guys. So you have a lot to pick from with this, with these holly berries or the holly leaves. There's a lot that fall out. You'll have them all over your desk. So I was really kind of glad that I got to use it. So I'm going to tuck that one up there. And then I decided just to put a sprig in there. And you can tell this sprig actually is a different size, but I'm going to put this little one in there. Okay, or actually maybe we'll stick, that might be a little too much, I'm not sure. Well, let's put this one in. I like this one. Plus it has more space here. But what I'm saying is, the thing about it is, notice how we're using all of what technically would be your negatives and maybe that what you would push off into the garbage, but now we've just added it to the card, and then you have the design on both sides. Then when I was finished with this, I just wanted something, a little of an embellishment to put on there. So I decided to bring out some silver. The gold wasn't feeling the gold, so I just brought out some of my metallic pearls in the silver. Yes, there we go. And I popped it in these three bigger hollyberry holes, and I chose those three. I could have went crazy and did every little hole, but then it doesn't, to me, it doesn't stand out as much. So sorry about me. I've got glue everywhere today. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then there's 3 down here. So that kind of just balanced out the pearls on there. Okay, little pearl. And then this one here. And then that silver just was a nice embellishment. It just kind of it blended in, but yet it stood out. It gave it just that little bit of extra something that you needed for that. So this is a super simple card. Once you die cut that, wiggle all the pieces out, and then put your sentiment on there, you've got a quick, easy, very elegant looking Christmas card. And you could also add in, you know, another sentiment on the inside there. So there is card number 1 using the holly die that's in the Sweetest Borders dies. Okay, so that is card number 2. Now the next one we're going to do is we're going to use the candy cane one. So we're going to pull out the candy cane one. And I also am going to pull out, just to show you, I used, I know I should have these on my magnet board, but sometimes those things just don't get done. So once again, we have this really neat border die. This one has candy canes on it, and I made this quick and easy card, and I'm trying to cover up my little red dot there. I now have to figure out a way to do something over here. Maybe cut a little piece of, I'll figure out a way, maybe by the time I post my pictures. So this is a really quick and easy one too. Wishing you the sweetest season, right out of the stamp set there. And then you're just putting the border along the bottom part. So let's just look at my little kit there with that. So once again, to keep my mind just feeling, you know, that I didn't have to rethink it or reinvent it, I'm using a half sheet of our, yeah, and actually I got a little bit, I need to change my blade. We're at 8.5 by 5.5, and we're scoring at 4 1/4. So 8.5 by 5.5, score at 4 1/4, and then we're gonna have a landscape card with this one. Now I could have done the same design and made it portrait, but I just figured I was going to try to do this one because I wanted to see all the candy cane on the card. So I didn't want to cover up any of these candy cane dies, so I just did it as a landscape card. Okay, so let's pop this up here so we can see what we're doing here. All right, so once again, I started with a 2.5 wide by 5.5, which is the width of my card, but then the width of this is going to be 2.5. So what I did here is, now let's think here of the way this one is going to go. I wanted to have my, you'll see that this is the cutting edge right here, this little curved part on the die. That's the part that's going to cut the edge of your paper. So that's going to be cutting this edge here. So what I did is I put that edge the farthest I could to the right side. So on the other one, I was leaving more room on the left side, and I still want to keep the left side here. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the holly berry, and I'm going to put my die the whole way the closest that I can to my right side. So I have more space over here that's going to stay with the card. So when you put that on, you kind of play around with these 2 round peppermint discs there. So just put it to where I like to have this little piece of candy there. So I made sure it wasn't, you know, necessary. Well, actually I didn't. On my one other one, I did try to keep that one on. So just put it, you know, closest to your right, die cut it, and then you end up with this part. Oh, wait a second here. This is the way it's going. Yeah. So it die cuts like that. So I kept it because I wanted more space on the left side. There you go. Sorry guys, I got a little nervous. I thought I knew what I was doing. So that's a really cute, cute die. So now we're just going to pop that onto the bottom front of our card. And I'm going to use glue once again. Even though I have more room, it's not as delicate here. I just have my glue out here, so I'm just going to use it. Plus, it gives me a little wiggle room when I'm putting it on. Looks pretty messy there, huh? Okay, I'm actually going to put it on this side. So then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm just going to line up and from this side get it flush with the edges. My glue lets me play a little bit with it. And there we go. And then I can do that same little trick again. Put a little bit of glue on a piece of scratch and just go under my die. Pop it down. Oh, I got a little stray piece there. Let me get my paper piercer there. There we go. And pop that down. Then I see a little bit here. There we go. Now, the sentiment that's going to go up here, I also pulled out of the hippo dies. It's this die right here. And all three of these dies nest as well. And it fits around the sentiment in that set. So that's the one I used for that one. And I just have a feeling I better put these dies back in their home, or else they're going to end up on my desk, on the floor. So let's just pop them back in there so Cindy's not crying later like a little baby. Okay, so I die cut out my Wishing You the Sweetest Season, and then I'm just going to pop it up on the top of the card. And even though it's white on white, we're going to jazz up that white label with a couple little other decorations you can find in that set. So we're just going to put that right in the middle of the top. Wishing You the Sweetest Season. And even though it's white on white, it's popped up, but I wanted to give a little more dimension here. So what I did is I took, this one comes, let me see here. Oh, whoop, went flying on the floor. Okay, that's for the rest of the card. But I stamped these little candies, these little mint candies, peppermint candies. Where's my red ink pad? There we go. And I just stamped them on a little piece of white. And you know, some stamp sets just stamp so beautifully. And this is one of those photopolymers that just, oh, this gives such a nice impression. Okay, so real red there. Oop, put that over there. And there is a die in this set. There's a little circle die. But if I can punch something, I'm all for it. 1/2-inch punch, and I do believe we may have a 1/2-inch punch on the clearance rack right now. Because I just, yeah, we did have one last week because I ordered an extra one because I always use 1/2-inch punches, it seems, for middles of flowers and stuff like that. So it was just as easy to punch that out with a 1/2-inch circle punch. And now I've got some cute little star mints there. And 2 of them are going to get popped up on the card, and they actually can use a whole dimensional on the back. There we go. But this one here, I just wanted to pop right up on. Oh, I remember. No, I'm going to pop right down here on the bottom. So with that one, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on there and pop it off the top of the label here. And it just adds a little dimension and a little flair to that. And then I just took and put a candy there and another little round one over here. So now we're dressing the card up, but then the bottom looked a little plain down here. So I took this cute little die that's in the set, and it also creates a little star burst there. So I'm going to put, I got a little too much glue on there, and I just popped that just to break up some of that red space there. And with the red and white, it just added a little more pizzazz to the card. Get a little more glue on there. Let me see, I didn't have enough there. There we go. And just pop that over here. Then it kind of, well, leave it sit there long enough. And then when it dries, I can come back with an adhesive remover. So there we go. We just added another little bit of breakup to the bottom of this, and it kind of gave another design element there. And then I just popped on some little white pearls. Where those are, I am not sure. So, oh, I know. I have them sitting over here. I have an old package of our pearls that has this little, and I just stuck a little pearl in each of these little mints here. I considered putting a red rhinestone in there, and I still might try that. But I kind of like these little pearls in there. Ooh, one would look cute in there. But I just went with those 3 that we popped up there. And we've got another super simple card. So these, using the Sweetest Time stamp set, you can make this great card here. Just doing your stamping and then some holly leaves and berries. Layer them on the front of the card with the ornate layers dies and some stamping on the inside. But if you didn't even have the stamp set, you practically could make this card. No, you couldn't because you wouldn't have the sentiment. Okay, duh. But you could use just the dies. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. You have a beautiful stamp set, but if you just want to do the dies themselves are almost like a standalone, because I used a different sentiment on this one. And just take a piece of, on this one I used Shaded Spruce, on this one I used Real Red, and I just cut them 5.5 by 2.5, and then I put the dies over to the farthest they could on the right side of my piece of paper so that I had some border on each side, and then just die cut it, carefully take out the pieces. All these measurements will be on my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com, and also under the YouTube description, you'll see a link that carries you over to my blog where you can take a look at some other photos that I have of this. So I really think this is a fun stamp set and fun, like this, wait, here they are. These dies really spoke to me. That's the first thing that actually caught my attention. And then the stamp set then caught my attention a couple seconds later. But really great bundle in the mini catalog. If you have any questions, you can always email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com, or you can text or call me at 724-323-229-2296. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.